Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Monday, December 5th, 2016. In both the Lynn Life and the Jamie Body Mind, the authorized souls continue to be only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions that know what real suffering actually is, and also Nature Realms guards. The Nature Realms guards are here in an attempt to keep out the criminal body snatchers who continue to barrel through here. As always, our foundational intention is to continue to do what is ours to do right now to manifest the divine plan, the current situation clearly highlighting how crucial it is to upgrade our integrity levels to something that will actually work, not only to manifest the divine plan, but to have a civilization that isn't offensive in which to live in any of these dimensions. With that, the formally videoed portions of today's efforts begin. And somebody is immediately pointing out that I missed a spot, and their input is valid because it begins with truth, and until we can tell what's really going on around us, we're actually helpless to make a difference for ourselves or for the worlds around us. So with that, the formally videoed portions of today's efforts begin. Someone is pointing out a common confusion that exists. Presences think if they're having any kind of inquiry whatsoever in their lives, that they're having a search for truth.
Yeah, that's true.
But all of us in all dimensions have a continual running inquiry, and that is not the same as a search for truth. The typical running inquiry is something like, what is the easiest thing for me to do right now to resolve this immediate situation in such a way that it accrues to my benefit and that I look good?
That's true.
But that's not the same as a search for truth. That's an inquiry that's powered by short-term thinking and selfishness
And
laziness and wanting to look good.
That's true.
That's not a search for truth. How can you tell? And they mean, how can you tell the difference between a search for truth and other inquiries? Well, I think that we can assume that none of us want to look at our part in the disaster.
Yeah, that's true.
And a search for truth inquiry that doesn't begin with, what is my part in the disaster? What more can I do? How can I do this better? What more can I put on the table in service of the greater good? Any inquiry that doesn't begin that way is not likely to actually be a search for truth inquiry.
That's true.
We have to set aside the error patterns that we're holding on to, and they're always some kind of combination of laziness and cowardice and not wanting to look at what's true, and selfishness and arrogance and suspicion when actual true guidance comes in of what's ours to do, saying, I don't know, that doesn't sound right, rather than just doing what we were born to do and being willing to pay the price that comes along with taking those actions.
That's true.
And what do I know? I know that we are living in troubled times, and in times like this we're all called upon to take actions on behalf of the greater good, and that's the actual reality of it, that nobody else is going to solve these problems for us. If they were going to solve the problems for us in this dimension, whatever you want to label it, we're calling it ground zero, those problems would have been solved back in the 60s, 50 years ago.
That's true.
They're not going to be solved. These, no one else is coming to solve them. Friends, things continue to get worse, not better. It's time for all of us to set aside our daily lives if we haven't already done that. Stop pretending that this is business as usual and acknowledge that here on Earth and its environs, whatever you want to call this dimension, scientists estimate that in 3 years, 2/3 of the species on this planet will be extinct. 2/3.
That's true.
And we're continuing to spew carbon emissions. We're continuing to use extreme extraction procedures for fossil fuels. Things are headed so hard in the wrong direction that it's really clear that nobody's going to solve these problems for us. It's up to each of us as individuals. What are each of us as individuals going to do to get this show back on track? What now? What now? What now? What now? In order to manifest the divine plan simply being an amalgam of all the original, not original, all the individual soul plans. As the individual soul plans are woven together to create a situation that works for the greater good, it becomes what we're referring to as the divine plan. What now? In order to manifest the divine plan, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. Then again, the pencil point circles right back around to integrity. Let's tune to increase our own personal integrity levels to that which will actually work to manifest the divine plan, and to, as we tune, gradually move our focus up the pillar of the energy bodies. We have the right, and some might say the responsibility, to tune the entire airspace of our energy body, tuning at the crown to increase the integrity levels, our own personal integrity levels. And then at the first sky chakra, tuning to increase our own personal integrity levels at the second sky chakra, and at the third sky chakra, and at the fourth sky chakra, tuning to increase our own personal integrity levels at the fifth sky chakra. And this is where the Cosentino wire starts becoming apparent.
That's
as souls in larger levels don't want to tune to increase their integrity levels, which is an inconvenient reality, but there's Cosentino wire, and they know
That's
what
true.
we're doing, and we've been doing it for a day and a half, and they've set up to try and keep us out, and you can't keep us out, and we have the right, and some might say the responsibility, to tend to our airspace. And they say, well, how can you possibly say that? Well, for example, you say that you're pinning the disasters of these interactions on the hosts,
That's true.
the host lives, strongly suggesting that you believe that it is our responsibility to upgrade the integrity levels.
That's true.
So I'm going to ignore you and reach through the Cosentino wire and tune to upgrade our own personal integrity levels in the sixth sky chakra. Tuning to increase our own personal integrity levels in the 12th sky chakra. Wow. Now let's see if we can pump up some dead. Maybe swish top to bottom, and bottom to top. Maybe zoom a little bit to clear the space. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Let's see if we can get some of the dead children moving up higher now that this pillar is cleared a little bit. Calling up all who really want to get to a consistent source of truth, integrity, and inspiration. Right on up, straight up the Search for Truth central axis. Straight on up, look up, find the rings of light, go up, straight up, as high as you can. And when you start to fall down, as will inevitably occur, get off at that level. Tell the presences what happened to you. Ask them why it happened. And then while they're chewing on that, ask them to help you go higher, which presumably they'll do just to get you out of their airspace.
That's true.
And don't stop until you get to a consistent source of truth, integrity, and inspiration.
Stretching deeper, stretching the pillar deeper, pumping up from deeper, pumping the dead up the back.
And tuning in the deeper levels as well, tuning to increase our own personal integrity levels, not only in the sky chakras, but also in the earth chakras.
That's true.
But they don't seem nearly as out of tune, and there's not as big a pushback.
That's true.
It's worse up above than it is below.
Yes.
Up there's this room of presences, souls from larger dimensions, probably many rooms actually.
That's true.
And they're really trying to figure out how they are supposed to publicize this in such a way as to make them look good.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
they don't seem to mind just blatantly lying. They're just saying flat out lies.
That's
and it's just being broadcast untruthfully. Just like the crazy lies that are being said about the protesters at Standing Rock who are firmly on the reservation.
That's true.
And some elements are claiming that the protesters were on federally owned land, but that's only because the government had declared that part of the reservation to be ours now.
Yes,
and
that's
just
true.
like China has declared Tibet to be ours now. That's land seizure.
That's true.
That's not federally owned lands. That's federally stolen lands. And so to these presences, I'm not exactly sure what you're arguing, but I can tell what it smells like, and it smells like that same level of lack of integrity. You're just lying
Yes, that's
about
true.
something, just straight up lying, and you know you're lying, and you intend to lie. That's bad intention. Live
That's
streaming
true.
way up past. Who can see this? And I see hands
I see hands.
straight up. Amateur videographers, who can see this? Are you willing to live stream it on up, kind of like slingshot this past you and keep the message going of what's actually going on down here in these dense astrals?
I feel emotional.
I do too. You guys are already outed as being reprehensible. You're looking for scared psychic children to prey on, P-R-E-Y, on, so that you can harass them into being your portal into these dimensions for your own nefarious purposes. And that's a strong word, but
That's true, though.
that is true. That is true. You're just thinking what's in it for you, and you're being as exploitative as the U.S. government is about fossil fuel extraction.
That's true.
And why is the U.S. government doing that? I think it's because we're really bankrupt, and they're just trying to forestall the pain, push it off to the next day and the next month and the next year, and they've been able to push it off so many years now that they think they can keep it going forever, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know.
But that's what it is. We're bankrupt, and rather than just biting the bullet and saying, we need to devalue our currency, we need to deal with this situation, they're just being insane with fossil fuel extraction efforts.
That's true.
Somebody else is arguing, this is really classic.
Yes.
Somebody else is arguing and saying that it goes a step beyond that, and it very well does, because it has to do with the oligarchy and the plutocracy, and it's not about the U.S. government trying to keep the economy at large going. It's about people doing a massive money grab in the final days of this era, however you measure that.
Yeah, that's true.
That could be. The point, however, is that this is not about what's going on in this dimension in which these sentiences are experiencing sentience.
That's true.
The point is about what's going on multidimensionally. As above, so below. We just see it playing out here very clearly, but we can see it playing out up there very clearly. Just because we can see it doesn't mean that other people can see it, and that's where we come in. That's what our work is, to shine the light on what's really going on and to live stream it up higher and say, can you guys see this? Here's what's really going on. I feel people standing up.
I feel that.
To acknowledge that they can see it. Thank you. Are you willing to stream it on up higher? Onward in the race for a consistent source of truth, integrity, and inspiration. There is a godly presence somewhere. We just have to get through all these dead people who are revolting to get to a consistent source of truth, integrity, and inspiration. Hence the race.
Correcting the errors for the month of December.
There are people who do not want to acknowledge they've made any errors. It's like they can feel the pull to correct the errors, and they're saying, that's not a mistake.
I feel that.
It is,
It is,
though.
though.
And resisting, this is a law of attraction and repulsion. That's what these exercises are, basically.
Yeah, that's true.
And when you resist the law of attraction and repulsion, you're resisting a basic foundational divine law. When we get to where the record keepers have integrity, and I promise you we will keep going
That is
until
true.
then this is going to hit your record. We're not stopping. We're personally motivated to not stop because you keep trying to pin your own revolting karma on us.
That's true.
Thank you for the motivation and the reminder of how important it is to keep going.
That's true.
Do you get any error correction on the energy theft yet?
No, I don't have anything coming
Oh.
back yet.
Me either.
It feels like it's still going in the other direction. It's still being sucked out.
Yeah, they're still continuing to steal energy.
Yeah.
Okay, again, I call formal call for treble damages for all energy stolen just in this 1 year, just in
in this 1 year.
2016. And so if they make it good by December 31st at midnight, there's a kind of like an amnesty for the energy that they stole in 2016.
That's true.
But if they don't make it good, I call for treble damages, as is my right. Listen
That's
to those
true.
people. There are multiples saying, that's true, it's true.
It's true. More today than the other day.
Yep. They're speaking up because it's true and they can feel it's true, and they felt really bad for not speaking up the other day, and now they're
That's
saying,
true.
I would rather just speak up and pay whatever consequence there is to pay for speaking up than feel this bad again.
That's true.